Beekeepers, it's January 13th. Supply chain issues may cause the loss of your honeybees. This is the reason why. November, I tried getting some organic soybeans, and I kept asking people, and all the way till the end of December, nobody had any soybeans, and I gave up in January. So I had to go get some pollen patty, and I was going to use the dot this year, and this is all they had. And they wouldn't have any more until the end of February, and they weren't sure even if they were going to have it at the end of February. Last year, I had an issue with Better Bee. I placed an order for some global pollen patty, and at the end of January, early February, and 2 weeks went by and I didn't receive it. I called them up. I said, where's my pollen patty? My bees need it, because I had used all the reserve that I had, and they needed more. And they told me they wouldn't have it till the end of February. I said I couldn't wait that long. The bees need it now. So what I did is I called Man Lake. This is Man Lake's Ultra Bee. It's not in the box anymore, but trust me, this is Man Lake's Ultra Bee. And the bees went from the global winter patties or pollen patties from Better Bee, which has 15% real pollen in it, and it's a Canadian product as far as I can tell. The box didn't have any information on it. They wouldn't go to this and continue, so a lot of them stopped doing brood last winter, and my colonies are really small. I almost lost a lot of colonies. So I wanted to prevent that. I wanted to be ahead of schedule this year, and still mid-January is not really far enough ahead of time. If you don't have your pollen substitute now, you're probably not going to get any. And if your bees don't have any pollen substitute, and they're not able to do their brood to get the colony going, and if you have to wait until spring, till the trees have pollen, your colony may be dead already. So this right here is basically the Don't's AP23 patties. It's got Honeybee Healthy in it. And here's the ingredients and analysis. I was going to try to make my own pollen substitute, but I didn't get stuff around in time. You know, you get the soybeans, non-organic. You get the brewer's yeast, non-organic. And then Domino cane sugar you can always get from Walmart. And you put that together and you get yourself a pollen substitute just like this. This one right here was hit with a forklift, so I got a discount on this one. But this is all they had, 200 pounds, and I have maybe 50 pounds of this. So I'm set. I don't have to get stressed out anymore. And if you watched my previous videos, we had a couple warm days. I was able to thaw out the floor, and it's about 32 degrees, 31 degrees. The ice is melting off my roof, so it's about 32, 33. So the doors are open. It's going to get really cold tonight and for the next few days. So I've got the doors open, but still, the bees are too warm. But I wouldn't be able to get all of them in time if it got really cold and I had an issue. If I left them outside and I checked them in the morning and I found several colonies that were close to dying because they were out in the cold, they were too small. A lot of my colonies, majority of them are new colonies 2021, so they're small. This is a small colony. So they wouldn't be able to handle below zero. And that's the kind of temperatures we're going to have the next few days. So what I do is I move them in ahead of the weather. Sometimes they're wrong with the forecast. So you have to be prepared for that. So yes, I have a lot in here, and the colonies are a lot larger than I usually have. So they're generating a lot of heat, and I have to be careful. Got to make sure my floor doesn't freeze. I got hot water heat. I don't have glycol. Make sure the floor doesn't freeze. Make sure my bees are warm during the night. So it's difficult for me to do that. If you're staying with me on this, I know there's a lot of censorship on the internet. You know, we don't have free speech anymore. And if you've seen some of my other videos, this right here is basically what we have. We have the owners on top, and we have the managers and the livestock. So you fit into one of these three categories. If you're a billionaire, obviously you're an owner. If you work for the government or school system, you're probably a manager. And if you're not one of these two here, you're livestock. You're basically meaningless to them. You know, I keep telling people they're putting poison in their food to make us sick so they can make money when we go to the hospital for treatment for cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. The rich people are making money off that at the hospital. And this is the reason why we can't change this country, is because 50% of the Americans, either they work for the government or they get their income from the government. 50%. And I saw this on RT News a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure if it's exactly right, but they said right now, basically it was 2021, 34% of Americans feel that violence against the government is justified. And basically 10 years ago, it was only 17% of Americans thought violence against the government was justified. So we're getting close for enough of us to want a revolution in this country, because it's getting worse. Our freedoms are being just taken away from us. 9/11, I like to call it an inside job, but, you know, they knew it was going to happen. They didn't stop it. They did this so that we would go to war with Iraq, and they made a lot of money. Halliburton made a lot of money off that, and Dick Cheney was the CEO, former CEO of Halliburton. So it's obvious. Look who made the money off of something, and you know who did it. Okay? With this, I can't say the word. If I say the word, they're going to delete the video. Or this here, this word here. Okay? Who's responsible for that? They created this and they released it. I have not had a vaccine yet. And it's been 2 years since this has been out. I've been taking this right here, and I have not been sick. And these stupid vaccines and these mandates, we are not living in a free country, okay? And here's some people, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go on YouTube, look up Peak Prosperity, Jimmy Dore, Joe Rogan. Look for that interview with Dr. Robert Malone. I don't know if you can find it or not. And then Gray Zone, Moderate Rebels. So basically, you know, they use patriotism in this country. All these people running around with flags on their vehicles and flags here and there. It's a form of control. And you have to convince people that they have a free country, you know, and they're brainwashing people that, you know, when we don't really have a democracy. Both parties are controlled by the rich people. You go vote every year, and it doesn't make a difference because they're both controlled by the same 1%. We don't have any democracy. We don't have any freedom. But all these people that think that flag is just the greatest thing in the world, they're being brainwashed and controlled to think that. You got to overcome the lack of democracy and freedom. So they do that with our flag and brainwash people to think, you know, it's good to fly the flag and believe in the American flag. It may have meant something years ago, but it doesn't mean anything anymore. And another thing, if we cannot beat the Taliban, how do you think the U.S. is going to beat China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba? Okay? Our worst enemy is not any of these countries. Our worst enemy is our own government. Look at what our government, our politicians have done to us over the years. Clinton, Reagan. You know, Clinton opened up trade with China and Mexico and sent all of our jobs, allowed our companies to send the jobs to all these places, like China, Mexico, and Americans lost their jobs. But they want you to use your credit card. They want you to continue to buy, but they don't want to give you a good paying job anymore. Who did that? Our politicians. Our politicians are working for the rich. So don't blame China for our jobs being over there. Blame our politicians and the rich people, okay? And look what the U.S. is doing to Venezuela and Cuba with sanctions. You know, they put all these sanctions on. If you know and understand the SWIFT system, where everybody's using the U.S. dollar, they put sanctions on it. And Cuba and Venezuela can't use the U.S. dollar. They can't buy food for the people. They can't buy heating oil. They can't buy anything for the people. So they have a hard time, and your economy suffers. And then they put it on the news how bad Venezuela and Cuba is, when actually we caused it. The U.S. government caused the problems they have in these countries. It is complete bullshit. China and Russia were devastated during World War II. The U.S. was not devastated. The U.S. was basically, only Pearl Harbor was actually attacked. And because of that, we became the world leader because we didn't have to clean up the mess of World War II. China and Russia did. But look where they're at now. They're great countries now, and the U.S. is down. It is not the great country it used to be anymore. If you think it is still great, you need to have your head examined, okay? Thank you.